Hi, my name is Greg Coffey. We're going to tie the coffee Sparkleminnow. It's worked pretty well for a lot of different species, and I hope you like it. We're using a 2x long, 2x strong bronze hook, 3/16 gold bead, pearl crystal flash, blood quill marabou. We'll do a little side-by-side comparison later of different marabou. Angel hair, and since this is a pearl pattern, we're using pearl gold angel hair. Using Danville's fine thread or Gouda Broad 6/0 monofilament thread. Either will work. And for weight, we're using 25 thousandths lead or lead-free wire weight. We've preloaded a 3/16 bead on the size 4 hook. We're going to have to put on the lead wire. About 3 turns, and then you want to cut that really close and push it up under the bead. And we don't want that bead to slide down after we've tied it, so put a drop of super glue in there. And then starting at about the halfway point, I tie in about a dozen wraps. Right about that. And we want to leave a gap. We want to leave a gap up here, about 80 thousandths or so. Need that for a tie-in point. Wrap to the back of the shank. Actually decided to slide on me. I don't want it to slip, so we want to glue a good portion of this. Monofilament is not known to stay put very well. And to keep things moving along, a little zip kicker. Flash cure it. Now for the marabou, we want to use a blood quill. Okay, actually you want to use blood quills. You have to ask for that specifically or look for it specifically when you buy it. You'll find it and it will state on there blood quills. If it doesn't, you don't want to use it. Blood quill will have long webby fibers, whereas a marabou plume will stay broad and flat, and you almost cannot ever get it to trim down even in strong current. So we want to do away with the plume and use just the blood quill. Okay. You want to measure the marabou tail to be about twice the length of the shank. Hold it at that point, tie in. Only wrap up to the lead and then trim away. You don't want to overbulk the body. Next, we're going to tie in about 4 strands of pearl crystal flash. If any of you haven't seen that, it's readily available at any fly shop. I'm going to grasp it in the middle, have the ends fairly even. It doesn't have to be precise. Lay it in alongside the body, tips even with the marabou. Wrap that in. Fold it back. Tie it down along the top. Trim even with the marabou once again. And then the balance of what's left we'll tie in the last open area. So we have even distribution of the fibers around the tail. Now we have to tie in an underbody. We're going to use a light bright. This is polar pearl. We could just as easily use the pearl gold angel hair, but this just happens to be what I have on hand. We want to twist dub it onto the thread. It usually grabs itself and twists, so you really don't have to wax the thread at all. Once you have it started, just keep twisting. Make a little rope out of it. And wind an underbody. So we want to cover the lead. And the tie-in point. Wind to the rear. Now we're going to do the hard part, the dubbing loop. Okay, now the hard part that so far most things have looked similar to a woolly bugger, but the hard part is the body, and this is what most people seem to have a little trouble with. We apply the body with a dubbing loop, and the dubbing loops most of the time that most people are used to for tiny flies may only be 3 or 4 inches long. This is going to actually be around 10 or 11 inches long, and we need to do that because if you put the material in a short amount of space, you're going to clump it. It's going to look really shoddy. So the best thing to do is pull enough thread down to say about 11 inches. Bring the bobbin up to the back of the shank. Close the loop by twisting around it a couple of times. Wrap forward to the tie-in point, and I'm going to keep the loop under control by inserting my dubbing loop tool, dubbing whirl, and that'll keep the loop under control while I tie off at the front. And we're not going to finish using this. We're not going to tie off, so I'm going to trim it away. The dubbing material is angel hair. It comes in a hanked form. This is how you will buy it, but this is not how we need it to be. So you have to chop it up, and this has already been chopped up. We cut it into about 1/2 inch to 3/8 inch lengths and blend it up. And to insert it into the loop, grab a bit of material, just a small amount, and kind of roll it around, pull it, and this tends to orient the fibers all the same direction. I'll lay it up here just a bit at a time. Actually, try another one. And it's not critical to get them exactly all perfectly straight, just generally so will be fine. Now, we're looking for a bit of material here, a little strip that's perhaps the length of your finger, and we're going to insert it into the loop all at once. We don't use wax, there's no need to. Simply, you're going to spread your fingers to pick it up, set them right on top of the material, squeeze, and that just picks it right up. You want to insert it into the dubbing loop all at once. If you try to do it a little bit at a time, it's just going to fall all over the place. We've got the weight of the dubbing whirl keeping tension on the loop, which keeps it closed, and the material will not fall out that way. Spread the material out evenly. You want to try to distribute it as evenly as possible. And that's about right. A little extra there. Now the hard part, just so that doesn't all fall out, grab your whirl, the dubbing whirl, pull tight, and it'll keep it trapped so the material doesn't all fall out. I grab the dubbing loop with my thumb and forefinger in my left hand and spin the whirl. As I do so, it twists up. Now I let go. You can see the material has been trapped and spun. I can spin it again. This winds it up even tighter. Now I use my bodkin to loosen up these fibers. And this is what the waste troll is for. It catches all the loose fibers, so it's not all over the floor or your lap, and you get to reuse the material. If there's any heavy spots or clumps, I can just pull them right out. Once I'm happy with the amount and distribution of the material, I'll now begin to wind the body. But you want to make sure you have fibers standing off at right angles at the back before winding forward. And I think that's about enough. Now, each wrap should go directly ahead of the one behind it. Brush the fibers back as you wind. Seems need just a little bit more material. I can unwind it at this point. Add in just a bit more. And now the best part about this is no glue required. We'll finish with a Borger double hitch, and this fly has never ever come unraveled doing it this way. Simply take the thread around the bead, forming a loop, go 360 degrees around the bead. Now the loop you've just created will take straight across to the opposite side and draw it tight. And you can do this a second time just to be sure it's not going to come undone, and cut that away. Actually, I designed this fly originally for smallmouth, but found after a while it was working for virtually everything. A lot of guys might think, well, it might be good for bass or it might be good for trout, but I've taken striped bass with it, muskie, pike, crappie, bluegill, and a few friends that I've sent it to have also used it with some limited success in saltwater, including bonefish and tarpon. While I admit it would probably be a little small for the giant tarpon, your smaller tarpon in the canals have been caught on it, and I'm pretty happy to hear about that. There are a few other colors you can tie this in. Pearl is my favorite, but I've also done this in black, or as the color with angel hair is called, it's black light, and it's kind of a black and violet mix. Another is brown with a chartreuse tail, solid brown. The colors are virtually endless. I mean, we have chartreuse, we have shrimp pink, and these colors are just a tiny sampling of the wide variety of angel hair colors that are out there. So really, your imagination is the limitation. And really, you can try any fish on this: salmon, trout, bluegill, whatever you like. And it is done extremely well. I hope it works well for you.